So, what up, guys? I'm gonna be going over what's up YouTube. I'm gonna be doing a mid-season tier list with all the new things that they're bringing. This is even the updated PTS. So they dropped PTS and then they updated it, as you can see here, post PTS balance. So we're just gonna recap over 8.6. It's tiny nerf to Soul Gem. It's gonna be quick. Tiny nerf to Soul Gem, decreased magical, nerf to Charon's coin, small nerf. Small nerf to Gaia. Small nerf to Morgan. LaFay. KA got a small nerf. I mean, being used every game. Kukulin got a small nerf because he's being used every game. Small nerf to Wukong. I mean, it's just a lot of nerfs in general. Janna's got nerf too. Sad face. Increased cooldowns from 9 seconds. Small nerf. So they just hit everyone that was being spammed in the SPL pretty much. So now we're gonna go over the way bigger patch, the actual mid-season patch. There's gonna be a lot of things, so I hope you guys could stay with me here. So no boots. I mean, I know a lot of you guys know that. I already dropped a video on that. Meditation got buffed. Sunder got buffed, but then I think got re-nerfed, so I'll go over that. No bracer. Sad face. Wait, Bracer of Radiance, upgraded new relic, place the radiant glow at a target location. Whatever, who cares about it? It's not gonna change the characters. So no boots, no elixir of speed. So this means characters are gonna get online much faster, much faster. So all late game characters are inherently buffed. Any characters that didn't do very well with boot spike, like Kali, like I'd have to really look at all the gods, but we'll definitely go over it. Decreased magical pen, just decreased cost 1450 gold, but decreased pen, so these are nerfs. Ichabel, increased reduction to increase physical power, some more. It's just a change, not really much of a nerf. This is a buff. Change passive damage from 40 to 30 plus 1 level, so it scales in the late game. Winged Blade nerf. They did a new rework for Murden. I don't think they should have. I think it was already in a good spot, but you know, whatever, they did it. War Flag, War Banner, starter for Death Tolls. I mean, the items don't really affect too much. Serrated got buffed. That's pretty good. Shogun's got buffed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. No, I mean, no CCR, but you get CCR from a lot of other things. Mannequin Scepter, increased burn damage for 2 seconds. Alright. Increased burn physical damage from 12 or 2 seconds to 16. Plus 5%. Wow, plus it scales. I mean, it has some scaling now. That's good. Or 2 seconds, decrease the amount of stacks from 4 to 3, so it does it faster. Increase health restored from 15 to 3% of your max health. From 5%, so if you're at 1k health, 30 health. If you're at 2k at 60 health. Yeah, it's actually a buff. That's a good buff. Increase health restore from the same thing. 2.5, a tiny buff for Mannequin Mace. Not that anyone's gonna build that with how broken the other version of it is. Sentinel got buffed. Vamp got buffed. Warriors Axe buff. They keep trying to hit Atlantis, but it's not really like helping. I mean, 40 power is actually pretty decent now, but I'm not sure. Increase MP5, that's nice. MP5, yeah, this item needs MP5 because if not, you just have to go trans because you can't go any other item. But they nerf trans too, so we're just gonna like kind of skim through this. All right, now Amma, increased charge rate. I mean, they nerfed King Arthur and Kukulin really hard, and now they're buffing Amma. Increased charge rate from taking damage from 4 to 4.5, so just it charges a little bit faster. Increased charge gain from hitting an enemy from 0.5, so it just charges inherently faster, so it does more damage faster. Increased base damage from 80 to 240 to 260, so late game it scales better to mid game. Increased base damage from 25 to 85, so it's small damage buff, not that it matters. Increased cooldown from 18 to 14. This is big because now she can set up traps around where she wants to fight. Increase movement speed from 20, that's big. Decrease cooldown from 18 to 14, 16 to 14, so the early game is better. Increase cooldown from 16 to 14, that's fine. Increase health, wow, that's a big buff, 10%. And knockback strength from 330 to 400, that's a big knockback. Baron, Hysteria, so the passive buff. Okay, so they're just adding Hysteria to everything and decreasing the cooldown on this, but it's only in the early game, so it's better for clear and poke. Decrease cooldown 1311. It helps Dodgy a lot in her clear because that's her main clear ability. Ammo count from 333 to 404 to 4 at all ranks. Big buff for the early game. Decrease cooldown from 12 to 10. So it scales the CD on it. That's actually a big buff on its one. Decrease mana cost to 50 at all ranks. Okay, they buffed this ability pretty. It's a smart buffs too. It's not like stupid. Increase physical power scaling from 45 55. Nice. Increase attack speed from it, from sitting under the banner. Wow, that's nice. So just for objectives now, it's really strong for objectives. Before, like, you kind of sat in it, but you didn't really care. Decrease cooldown from Devour Souls 1 second. Not too much of a buff. 1 Agony. Damages an enemy. All of Hades' other abilities have their cooldown reduced by 0.2. So if it hits 5 people, all his CDs are reduced by 1 second. Water cannon 60. I mean, they nerfed it too hard, so now they're buffing it again. The usual. So it's per tick. So if you're hitting per tick, every tick you're hitting 0.2. So 1 second every tick. That'd be kind of over the top, but maybe it could be like that. Increase magical power scaling from 50 to 60%. That's a pretty big, nice buff. Decrease mana cost helps the early game. Decrease mana cost from 55 to, okay. So Hell's a bit stronger now. Increase scaling on Argus first hit from 30 to 35. Small. Okay, so just Argus is stronger. Increase damage from 300 base. That's good. That's a really good, nice buff. Increase basic damage to 9.6 to 10.4. Small buff. Movement speed 25 to 35. Nice. That's a big buff. We went over this, but we'll continue to make sure our tier list is specific, it's clean, everybody knows what's happening. The mana issues on Kali got really buffed, and since you're not going to go trans on this character, it feels good. General base health 40 to 490, big buff. Base health per level, big buff. Increased physical power scaling from 30 to 35, small buff. Total increase from 30 60 90 to 35 71 05. Nice. Those are big buffs for one. Now provides 5. They never fix the ult. That's always been the problem, but whatever. They keep hitting the other abilities, but eventually she'll get strong enough in other abilities that her ult won't matter. Decrease cooldown from 16 to 11, scaling down, so early game's a tiny bit better, late game's a little bit better. Increase physical power scaling, just small buffs all around. All around increase magical power scaling 15 to 25%. That's a nice buff. Decrease cooldown from 140 to 100 to 120 to 100. Early game is better. Late game still a very long city. All around now gives 40% CCR while in this area, so you overcap CCR. I mean, he caps CD. Does that go through the overcap? Like if you build CCR, do you at 60%? Probably not, but whatever. Rat decrease movement speed from 8 to 2%. Wow, they're still giving it movement speed to the acorn. Interesting. So Rat's just going to be super fast. Alright, Susano can now cast that while dead. That's actually a big buff. Big buff. It's big buff, but could have been bigger. It's not. He's not going to go to the top of the meta right away. Just helps his day of life. Increased magic. Okay, small buff for his one. When serpents take damage of Phoenix or tiny, they take one of the health bars. Decrease lifetime from 30 to 15 seconds. That's good. That shows why I can't believe it was alive for 30 seconds. Fair decrease mana cost. Not that it matters. That wasn't a problem. Increase minion damage. Small. Better clear now. Increase minion damage scaling. Okay. Jamoja. No longer. Wow, this is a big changes. No longer. So this is the last one before we jump into the tier list. Jamoja's dropping for sure. Increase cooldown 110, 120. Increase base damage. Actually, increase base damage 130 to 170. So more around her ones. There's now smaller lane with a 10 stam. Okay, so you can't spam it. That's good. All right, whatever. We'll just go into the post PTS balance right quick. Make sure everybody knows everything. Decrease magical power from 95 to 85. Because and then it only caps at 70%. Decrease time to decay for 7. All right, wow, that's pretty big. So now you only have 70% CD over cap, so which is 30% more than you are at cap. And you only have it for 4 seconds, and by the 3rd second you're already dropping back to 40%. So, and it doesn't really give, the item doesn't give that much flat power anymore. So that is a pretty big nerf to the item. Stuttering Spear, increased cooldown from 90 to 110. Decreased stacking damage. Okay. I don't know why it has 2 charges still, but whatever. It's still really strong. Transcendence, they just reverted the buff Omega Low, so Transcendence back to where it was before. Decreased cost from 2 to, so this is much cheaper now. Decreased protection buff. Yeah, this is good. This is a good change. Make it cheaper, but make it not be where you're unkillable once you get stone cutting. Sorry, chat. YouTube. Players at level 1 will have 0%. Level 2, they 3%. Level 3, 6%. Level 4, 9%. 12%, 15, 18. So at level 7 and at level 8 through 20, you will have 18% movement speed. So I don't know why this matters, but all right. Level 7 is when you're at base movement speed. So level 7 is when you spike. So if you're level 7 to level 7 to like level 5, right? Supports level 5. Junglers level 7 or mid level 7. There's a 6% difference. That's pretty important. That's what you actually look out for. So that is actually a nerf to supports, right? Because they're getting the least XP. Sometimes it's either between, it's a nerf to jungle and supports, right? Because there's the lowest farming. They're usually they have the least experience. I mean, it depends on how much you share, right? But I think in this meta, you shouldn't be sharing with mid as much. Because mid is just kind of more important to have the levels. So supports really kind of got hit low key because they are truly the ones with less experience, and so now they will be kind of just ran away from. Like you could just easily walk away. So that's something to think about, and also something to think about when it comes to what supports you're picking, right? Because this impacts a lot. It increased initial slow from 20 to 20% all ranks, so it used to scale. Now it doesn't. The root at the end no longer cripples, so it doesn't cripple, it just roots. So you can dash out of it. So let's go into this tier list right quick. I know that was a little bit long, but I just want to make sure you guys know everything that's happening in the midseason patch. And you guys are in it to win it, so let's go over this quick. Achilles, with everything that's changed, I think Achilles is just going to be a solid like P tier. His clear is going to be much weaker because I feel like trans is not, it would be pretty good on him. Like if it was still trans meta, I think he'd be A tier. But with it not being trans meta, and his clears has always never been the greatest in the jungle. You have your 1 that's super long CD. Your 3 doesn't clear the best, so you don't really power farm. So you get out farmed really fast. You're a good ganker, but that's about it. And I just think there's better junglers. But this is gonna be a tier list in general of where the characters are. Agni. Let's think about all the items and everything that just happened. Well, Vamp got buffed, and I think people always overlook Agni. I mean, you guys always saw me. I mean, when I was mid in the SEC, I was tearing it up with Agni, and nobody picked Agni. Everybody questioned the Agni pick, but it's just I think people like. Same thing with when Big Man Tinks plays it. Like if it's a good Agni game, it owns. And if you know how to play, I think it's just a lackluster of people playing Agni or know how to play it. Like, in my opinion. But I think Agni is very strong. I've always thought that. I mean, 3 bombs, there is just so much damage. And it's not just one big ultimate that can be Aegis, correct? Like, it's 1 bomb. You're probably going to have to Aegis it. And if you don't Aegis it, you're going to take a big chunk of your health. The combos are always good. CD is even good. And not building boots does kind of benefit Agni because you get CD online faster, and if you get CD online faster, meaning you have more bombs. Having Chronos pendant at minute 8 on Agni, it just sounds ridiculous to me if you ask me, because now you're always benefiting from the passive of Chronos pendant because you're always using your bombs, whether it's to clear or poke. And so you have consistent poke at 8 minutes. Every time I played Agni when I was playing in SEC, I'm still playing in SEC, but you would hit the spike where you hit Chronos pendant, lifesteal boots, and the mid can't move up to clear the wave. And in Smite, if you can't clear the wave, you're in trouble because now you lose pressure. Smite is all about clearing the way faster than the opponent and then running to the farm and or their objectives. Red buff, blue buff, speed buff, whatever the hell you want to invade. And if that's the case, Agni is one of the best at doing so because he can stand up to the lane. And if you pop up like a Scylla, for example, or Merlin, to throw abilities to get in range to clear, it doesn't feel good to get hit by 2 bombs. Now you don't feel comfortable defending red. You don't feel comfortable, contesting mid camps. So, I went a little bit in depth with Agni, but that's because that's my boy, and he's underrated, man. If you don't know how to play Agni, definitely learn him. Amusin as a hunter, no trans. So trans got hit. Ichabel got a tiny, kind of like a mild buff. I think he's a B tier hunter. I think trans was really benefiting him, and we still didn't even see him picked up, if you guys remember. So, I mean, now that trans got reverted, let's think about the other items and everything else that's happening. I mean, he actually does pretty well with not having boots because he has inherent movement speed from his Q. So that is pretty good for him in the early levels. While everybody's trying to scale and get movement speed off levels, he already has it. So that's pretty good if you ask me. Bluestone nerf, yeah, hurts him too. Like all his build path got hurt, so got nerfs. So it definitely hurts. I mean, Apwash is Apwash, man. I know there's a lot of Apwash lovers out there, but I mean, D tier is where he's at. He's just weak. He just doesn't do anything that any other mage does well. I mean, can he do good? Yes, but at the highest level of the game, and if you want to be if you want a realistic tier list, this is where he's at. I mean, you guys, to be honest, he could be even lower. Anher's been hit like 3 or 4 patches in a row. He's still an A tier hunter. He just got nerfed from S tier to A tier. But he's still really strong. Even trans nerf, I mean, you don't have to go trans. Anher's the type of character that you could put in any lane. I mean, not any lane, but in any meta, and he's always going to be strong. His kit is just smack in the middle. It's just always going to be good. But I don't think he's the best hunter as he was for a long time. My girl Alma might have been C tier, but she did get some good buffs. Her two charges up much faster, so it means more damage and an actual nuke. And her ult base damage got buffed. Pretty good. We'll see how much it really helps her. She could be between C or B, but we'll give B. I think the buffs are nice, and I think we'll see her maybe a little bit more. And also with King, the reason she kind of gets bumped up is because King Arthur now and Cuchulainn got bumped down, so gives her some space to come up. Anubis, Spear of the Mags is still good. I mean, he's definitely not as bad as Apwash, but he still has the problem of standing still and just getting shredded, right? But into certain comps he can do okay, and lifesteal items are not the worst right now, so. You have Spear of the Magus to work with. It didn't get touched at all. I think he's a C tier mid laner. He can be like an A tier depending on who he's playing against. But if usually you don't want to be standing still. But if you do have an opportunity to do it, he will shred, right? If you don't have someone that can punish it hard. I think Ao Kuang got some mild buffs. Ring of Hecate got buffed a tiny bit. Spirit Magus is good. Is he the best in competitive? No, because his execute is just very he's so like you're fixated on one way to play the character, right? And that's the problem. But in ranked, he's insane. He will hyper carry your games. If you're a good Ao Kuang, he'll hyper carry. He has insane damage. He has objective control. And his items got kind of buffed. I always did like the lifesteal spike, the boot spike on him, but getting late game faster with Ao Kuang always a good thing, right? As Ao Kuang scales very, very, very well with this too. So I think he's an A tier jungler. If you're not playing him right now, you should be, or at least give him a shot. Afro's weird. She comes in and out of the meta, but I think what dictates that is what is actually good, right? Like what is S tier and what's A tier. If Afro can counter that, you'll see her. But if she doesn't do well versus S and A tier characters, you won't really see her in the meta. So I think she's pretty average. Healing didn't really get hit from what I remember off the top of my head. Apollo's Apollo, right? Like he has the global. Even if they nerf the mana and they nerf Transcendence, he's still always pretty good. I think Aquavale. I think there's a lot of different builds you can go on Apollo. His mez is still very strong, even though they did hit it a tiny bit. His kit's just all around really, really strong. It's kind of similar to Anher, but Anher is a little bit more consistent. So you could put him at B tier if you'd like, but I think A tier is fine for him. Arachne. I think Arachne is even lower than she was before just because of the boot spike, right? You go boot super early on Arachne, web people, and you could actually kill early game and cheese people and catch people off guard. But now with no boots, you can't do so, and so it feels pretty bad. Ares... Ares is usually like just kind of like a counter pick, but he counters so many characters, right? It's not that he just counters like 10 characters. He counters like half the characters in Smite, and pulling CC immunes and pulling CC immunities ults are still very good for his ult. I think he's still really strong. I think he's still an A tier support. Him not having guard boots is still tough, but you got to remember he still has his 2, and his 2 helps a lot in this aspect, because now that not every support has guard boots, he still has something that'll give him extra prods and CCR, so it doesn't you don't overcap very easily. Before you used to overcap with your 2 and guard boots and any other item that had CCR, but now you don't. Now you get full value out of it every single time. Artemis got buffed a couple times. I think she's B tier. I don't think she'll ever be A tier, right? Her no escape is just really tough in the Smite world. But she did get buffs on her too. And if I remember correctly, it was Root. Her traps now have way lower CD, so you're allowed to set up really well around Gold Furies, around Fire Giants, around mid camps, around towers. At least like the best Artemis will do that, right? Like Panda Cat. You know, there's other Zatman's pretty good with Artemis. I mean, I think she's pretty straightforward to play. And her 2 got another buff. Now, not only is she slow immune, but now she is even faster when she pops that. So that's a pretty big steroid. I mean, she doesn't have an escape, but now she moves as a 25% movement speed. That's pretty good. So I think it's about not being able, like, if you get walled off as Artemis, your fight is over, right? Like, you're an Ymir, you're an Odin, like any CC immune character, Guan Yu, any of those type of characters, like you just kind of fall over. But characters that when they don't have the Guan Yu or like the Fenrir type or the Cabrakan type, you do feel very strong. And her late game is always going to be very, very good. So I think Artemis is a solid B. Can be A tier, but you know, like I said, my tier lists are always depending on what you're playing against. And since you don't know what you're playing against in a tier list, you're talking about picking a character at the top 2 picks, right? You're just picking it. If you pick a top 2 picks, where is it? I think it's B tier. It's a solid B tier character. Obviously, if you're very good versus the draft you're playing against, I mean, every character moves up and down. But I'm gonna give you a general basis of where the characters really stand at without having a draft in front of me. Artsaavy support, no boots, kind of nerf, no lower XP. The Guardians feel a little bit weaker, but she doesn't feel the worst because she does have a lot of inherent movement. I mean, her dash is pretty good. Her slow from far is pretty good to catch up on you, to stick on you. She's niche. I think she's a B tier support. No boots. Athena's probably A tier, S tier. I would say probably S tier. She's so strong. She's still very strong. And the no boots doesn't affect her too hard. I mean, guard boots affects every support, but she still can move around very well. And going straight into Thebes feels pretty good. You can be all over the map. I mean, she's just always going to be a really, really, really good support in my opinion. A Willix trans got nerfed. That's a hit to her. So now you have to go now you're kind of forced into Hydra's Crusher. She's a B tier jungler. In ranked, she kind of dominates because the way you punish a Willix is being able to pinch her in the back line. But now, obviously, in ranked, you know, people are not the best at doing so. So in ranked, she's an A tier. In general, she's a B tier. So if you're playing ranked, you could always just throw her up here, and she's always a nice pick to lock in. But this is, like I said, a tier list revolved around the new patch notes, everything that they've changed. So I'm trying to give you guys the info on what I think from everything that they've added to what's going to be best. Baby Yaga actually got buffed pretty well. She still has a weird factor to her. It's the fact that she has, you don't know if it's going to be a silence or movement speed. And having randomness can be good against people, but could also be bad for yourself. She did get a nice buff. Before, I think I'd put her at C tier, but, you know, pushing people farther back and having a lower CD on her 3. Was it a lower CD, if I'm not mistaken? I think it was. It's more percent shield, health shield, right? on her ult. I think that's really, really, really good. It's kind of tough to kill people when you're doing so. Bacchus is we see him every once in a while in the competitive, and then rarely in ranked, but I think he's just always been solid. The prots are really going to help him, and his Q. The prots are really going to help him because he just inherently tankier, where guard boots would always... Like, any character that really needed guardian shoes to be tanky in the first 5 or 10 minutes, it has fallen off. For example, Sylvanas. Bacchus, any character that has inherent tankiness through a passive or ability, helps a ton. And Bacchus being that, boom, boom, pow. Bacchusura, Bacchus trash. If you're sitting next to Upwash, you don't need an explanation. I mean, garbage, all garbage farming, garbage everything. Just literally garbage. It's not good until Golden Blade is great and there's a lot of farm on the map. I don't think you'll ever see him picked. Baron got some sweet buffs on his 2. I don't think he's... I think we're going to see a C tier. C or B tier. But yeah, he got some nice buffs, honestly. He could be B tier, but it has to be against characters that don't have dashes. He does pull dashes during his ult, but if you're able just to dash out of his ult, it feels really bad as a Baron. A lot of dashes means you can dash out of his root and his ult, and that puts him in a weird spot. Meaning you can just run away from him whenever you want. So C tier, I think, is pretty fair. Maybe B tier. I'll leave him at B tier out of respect for his kit. His laning phase is going to be better now, too, that his 2 got a buff on the early CD. Bastet is just bad. They need to revert her. Her ult is garbage. Her abilities are garbage. She does a lot of damage. There's a lot of characters that do a lot of damage and do a ton of other things. That's all she brings to the table. Bologna got a tiny buff, but she just will never be on the level of, King Arthur, Cuchulainn. Nice, like, the disarm is cool. But if the items don't aim towards Bologna, right? Like, if it's not the attack speed meta or like something like a trading meta, it doesn't feel that good. I don't think Bologna is like very strong. She's okay. Cabrakan, you guys already know what I think about Cabrakan. I mean, I just always think he's underrated. His passive is so stupid. He's so tanky. He does everything. He has 4 different forms of CC. He has a wall off. He has 2 stuns and a tremble. I mean, I don't know what else you want from my character. Why we don't see him that much, I have zero clue. I have zero clue why we don't see him in the jungle or solo or support. Like, at least 2 or 3 games. Like, he's just so broken. Like, he's been like this. There's nothing nerfed about him. His base damage is super high. His base health is super high. His passive is super strong. I mean, everything is just super strong. I have no clue why we never see him, but if you like Cabrakan, keep spamming him. He's going to get you dubs. Camazotz got hit super hard. He got hit on his abilities. He got hit because Trans got nerfed. He got hit because Bluestone got nerfed, so you can't solo. He got hit. He's just been hit in general, but he can still be played if maneuvered properly. Like, if someone that's piloting him is really strong, he could be A tier. But I think he's just been hit so many times. He doesn't provide any CC, so for him to be strong, all the items that need to be, that have high power need to be really strong. Erendai, Titan's Bane has to be strong. Jotuns, Brawlers, all the traditional assassin high power items have to be really strong for him to be, dominating the scene. Cerno, let's think about he's okay. I mean, he can be very strong or he can be very bad. There's really no in between for this character. If he's allowed to hold left click, he will wipe your whole team. Other than that, his dash is really easy to catch. His ult is not the best self peel. He has no CC immunity. So that's why I'll put him in B tier just out of respect for his 1v5 potential. But outside of that, he just he's so easy to kill in ganks and team fights and in general. Serb, Another character where I don't know why we don't see him that much. He's just strong in general. The shredding prots is just stupid to me. The ult is not the best when it comes to, you know, making sure you lock someone down. It's kind of easy to dash away from. Has a pretty long animation. But the 2 and the 1, if you're able to consistently hit the 1, I mean, he could be S tier. But we'll just say for the average person, you hit it, you know, you hit it consistently enough. It's an A tier character. It's really strong. His leap is really long. Before, I feel like his leap was super short, so he was kind of a very easy support to kill if out of position. With his leap being as big as it is, it's slow. He has self-peel. He has initiation. He has shred. He has everything you'd want from a support. And I just think he's really strong. Chalk, unfortunate C tier, maybe even worse. I mean, nothing's been buffed about him. I mean, what was it? The last buff on his ult, the damage mitigation, I think. That's the last thing we saw from him. Transcendence nerf, so you can't even go Transcendence in solo and just beat the shit out of people. Yeah, let's think about what else. Warriors hacks, whatever. Boot spike doesn't really affect them. I mean, you would usually want a warrior to buy before, so you could just stick on people with your 3, and you at least had that on someone. So that's a spike that he lost as well. So what item would you go first to really just punish people on him? I don't really see anything. I don't see him being very strong at all. Chang'e.
Just come home, because we're gonna go, I think, get pizza from Little Caesars, so when we go out with my...
Chang'e B tier, I think it's pretty fair. The problem with Chang'e is just her damage, the fact that it's close range, right? Being close range with as a mage is either, because either you walk in, ult 3 people, and then dance around everyone and just sauce everyone, or you get zoned by a warrior and you're useless, right? That's the truth. If a Hercules King Arthur runs at you, you don't have the damage because her base and her scaling aren't the highest. So what do? Right? And that's in any real game, you're gonna be zoned really hard, right? A warrior's gonna run at you as a mage. And that's always been the problem with her. But if you're running people down, she is probably one of the strongest mages in the game. So I think she's B tier for sure. Let's watch my boy Chernabog. I'm confused why this character. I mean, I didn't watch every single game. I didn't watch every single game in the SPL recently, but this character is toasted. I mean, what do you need in this meta as a hunter? Survive so you can get your damage off because you are the most consistent and highest DPS in the game. He has a global. His ult. Like, Apollo ult is a global, correct? But it could be very useless. You could ult, not find an opportunity, because if you do land, you're going to die. Chern always gets value out of his ult, right? And not only does he get value out of his ult, he can buy so much time with it because it gives him another dash. So, I mean, if played properly, this character can get 6 or 7 seconds of buying time. And not only that, he has an insane steroid. Not only that, he has a root. So he has everything you'd like. I don't understand why I don't see this character anymore, but I think he's nuts. I don't think it matters what meta it is. He scales well with his abilities, and he scales well with crit. He scales well with kins. He scales well with everything. Don't know. Trans got hit. Bluestone got hit. My boy Chiron drops. But I still think he is pretty strong. But he definitely still drops. You know, he's no way. I mean, he was S tier last patch. Trans gets reverted. Bluestone gets hit. Icovel gets buffed. A tiny bit on base damage. So I mean, I think Chiron just has a beautiful kit because you can get damage from. I mean, you can kill a backline as a hunter, which feels great, right? Because if you can't get to the backline because warrior's zoning you, you're CC immune for 4 or 5 seconds and shooting and getting a lot of damage off. So he could be B tier because of the trans, but we'll give it time for the trans nerf and Bluestone to settle in, you know, and we'll see where Chiron really sits. But I think he's still going to be an A tier. Chronos, I think Chronos has been is in a much better spot. In a much better spot. 1, you get to late game faster. 2, Ring of Hecate got buffed. And his kit's just always going to be really good, right? It's just a bloated kit for the late game if you think about it. The problem is he's always kind of behind when you get to the late game, or he's had 0 impact when you get into the late game. But I think he could be an A tier or a B tier. I think if you play Chronos, you should be giving him a try in mid and ADC. Shit, if you want to do a jungle too, do it. But yeah, Chronos is definitely pretty good right now. I think there's a lot of things that have buffed him, and he could be a tier higher. Double Sunder, Omega, LOL tanks. Cthulhu, I mean, his ult will always be prevail. His ult will always be one of the strongest team fighting ults, right? It's the most disruptive ult in the game, right? With that being said, double Sunder definitely hurts. If you didn't miss that first Sunder on that big guy, you got a second one. You know what I mean? And if when you do Sunder him, you drop that health bar is dropping, you know? And it's such an easy target to kill. So he's not as strong as he was before. You would see him every once in a while. Right now, it's like the King Arthur Cthulhu every game because they have great rotation ability and great proxy ability. Cthulhu doesn't have that. He doesn't clear very well. He doesn't proxy very well. But when he does rotate, he does have a huge impact. You just got to make sure you don't lose your early game. And that's a big if in solo lane, so you never want to have that in the back pocket. Cucullin gets hit, but he's still Cucullin. Like, he got hit on his base stats. But one thing, why is Cucullin so good? 2 CC immune ults. That is why he's so good. He has a root. He has a dash. He has two escapes. He has 2 CC immune ults. I mean, in general, the character's kit's bloated. You can keep hitting the base stats, but if you don't hit the fact that he has 2 CC immune ults and 2 escapes, nothing's ever going to happen. Wow, there's so many gods, but I hope you guys are enjoying this video, and I'm really trying to make sure that you guys are ready for this new upcoming patch, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Cupid. Trans got hit. It's a counter pick, so with characters being a counter pick, usually you're a B tier character. That's just the way it rolls. Your counter against your cripple is great, but if there's I don't think so. I don't think it's Sigress. I don't think it's the best character. Trans was really good for him, but you're gonna see him drop, I think. Dodgy got a buff. Dodgy is kind of a niche character too. She has her CC, I mean, her 2 got buffed, meaning her clear, which was usually the problem with her, right, is her clear. I think she's going to be strong. I think you guys should be giving her a chance again with this new buff coming around the corner. Discordia is just good. She's just solid. She has a nice CC immune ult. Her 2-1, her late game is really, really strong. Her mid game is, it doesn't have you don't have, like, that one-tap potential. You know, she needs to get, like, rotations of her kit out. But, yeah. Erlang, not a trans character, but has been hit a couple times. But I think he's still really good. I think he could. I think he could be an A tier character. None of his. I mean, the only thing that got hit was the stone cutting, but it's a little bit cheaper now. And you go like imagine going stone cutting first now. 50 power, 2350 gold. That's really cheap. Like you're hitting so hard, and you're getting your I mean, you're not getting as much physical protections as you were before, but it's cheap power. So feels good, man, for Erlang players. My boy Faf, we do see him every once in a while in the competitive. We don't see him a lot in ranked because he does need like coordination to work with, but I think Faf is pretty safe. And the no boots is gonna be hitting the characters that are immobile. So Faf is definitely not that. And so I think he's still pretty high up, and Faf will always provide that objective control. And objective control in the meta that Smite is, like Smite right now, the meta is like what the meta is gonna be in the near future. You get 6 slots in 25 minutes. That means gold lead is not gonna matter. So you have 1 spike, right? If you have a gold lead at 25 minutes that is, let's say, for example, 5,000 gold, you either, if you don't use that effectively to get double Phoenix or get some big advantage, you're actually even. And Faf does that for people, right? He's one of the best characters at actually amplifying a lead at that moment, right? You're up 5k, do fire. They have to 5-man rotate, meaning they can't split up and farm. And because what you're going to want to do when you're down 5k is split up and farm, especially in this meta with 6 items only, right? And with that being said, you're not allowed to with Faf. You have to be in contention of fire. You have to be near fire. And so Faf does that really well. And that's something that's thinking pretty deep into what's happening in this new patch that, you know, you should think about if you're trying to rate characters. Fenrir's base damage, no trans. Hybrid items aren't the best. Stone cutting got kind of. He's okay. I mean, he's just always gonna be what he is, right? The CC. I mean, pulling tanks out of position. Actually, pulling tanks out of position now is actually pretty good, but He's B tier. There's no way you can put him any higher. There's no way you can put him any lower. Right? That's the way I look at that character. Freya got buffed for her mana. That doesn't do anything. Ganesh own protections is gonna be sweet. I think Ganesh is kind of underrated. I think he just always provides what you need. He's one of the only characters with a silence that like his silence works differently from a lot of the other silences in Smite, and I think it's actually broken. I mean, obviously on the person that's piloting it. I mean, if you're a Ganesh diving backline, like, I mean, Omega lol. But if you're a Ganesh that drops ult, sits on the backline, you could actually make the game impossible for backline divers. Geb no boots, starts Thebes right away, starts Sov. That's pretty strong because you had to go boots before, right? And that would delay his tankiness, which he needs early, right? Cause especially if you're off shielding. Because the problem with Geb is that you can die early and the lead can snowball, right? You can become useless very fast. But if you can make it to that late game, which late game is coming faster in this meta, you're the strongest support in the game, or one of the strongest supports in the game. I think I'm going to put him here just because I think the meta is going to favor him. Guan Yu got hit a bunch of times. But Kakolin and King Arthur got hit pretty hard. So you might see some more Guan Yu. That's for sure. Because when the top two soul laners that were like literally way above every other soul laner, Guan Yu kind of like, you know, it's like, yo, what's good, my dog? You forgot about me? And a lot of people did forget about him, especially with these two characters. I mean, he did get hit, but it didn't get hit to the point where he's garbage. Hachi got really nice buffs. Really nice buffs. He still has the ult problem, but this 2 gives a ton of attack speed, helps on objectives. His 1 got buffed. Hachi got super buffed. Yeah, I think Guan Yu could be A tier. I think it's pretty fair. I think Hachi will be A, man. I think he's gonna be in a good spot. I think his buffs are super sweet. I really like his buffs. Hades got pretty buffed too. I think actually ulting people and it reducing your CDs is one of the biggest things, right? Because what's the problem with Hades? You dash in, you 2, 3 ult, right? That's usually like the most efficient combo. Or you could just 2 ult if you'd like. But that, you know, being able to dash in and then having your dash again by the end of your ult to actually follow up on a kill after beads is pretty good. And Hades base stats are not the worst. So I could see him being good again. My boy got his 1 got buffed, so his jungle clear is much better now. So I think he'll be in a good spot. Hell got super buffed. I think we see Hell again. I think we see all the Hell players come out again. The Shinto Hell, who else? Hell, Paul Hell. A lot of scaling, a lot of base damage upgrades. I mean, I think Hell's gonna be in a really good spot. Heim is Heim. Really safe hunter. It doesn't matter the meta. He'll always be a strong hunter. Unless they nerf something about his 3, right? I think that's what just kind of makes him always safe. And his passive is super strong. Hera got a really nice buff. But I think she's kind of nichey. But I think she could be jumping up to an A. So if you guys want to try her, playing her, post-patch, base damage on the 1 is 300 now. That is a really strong nuke. And the all scaling has been buffed on her ult, on Argus. I could see her being really strong. So you guys try her out. Let me know how she feels. And if you guys want to comment on YouTube in the comment section, let me know what you guys are thinking. You know, feel free to, man. I'm down to talk Smite. Hurt. Where are we going to put him? I think it's always like where the person that's piloting his character. You hit 50% of your 2-1s, the character is C tier. You hit 80% of your 2-1s, the character is B or A tier. You hit like 90% of your 2-1s, you automatically become S tier, right? That's the way this character works. There's just like that's just it's just like a, how do you say it? He's a heat check type of character. And it depends how comfortable you are. Horus. Horus is just kind of like depends on who's piloting the character. He could be really strong. He hasn't been really nerfed. No boots. Definitely hurts him. Because he has a warrior scaling. He has warrior scaling. So not having the guard boots does make him a little squishier. Going Thebes earlier. Not having that CCR. So when he goes in and he can get CC locked really fast. And doesn't have a ton of extra protections. And his early game his early mid is the best. Put him B tier. Hu Yi. Hu Yi's alright. I don't think he's the greatest. I think it's counter matchup wise. Bots, Bots got hit hard, man. I love bots, bro, but fuck, dude. Transcendence got hit. His ult is super long CD. Like, why is bots not good? He's one of the funner characters to watch, but he's between B or C. There's no way. I mean, I look at these characters and I just can't put bots next to that. Just disrespect. E set, B tier. It's playstyle, right? Like, it's understanding that you have to just run to objectives. She's pretty strong. She dominates early. I'm excited to see like how she's gonna work in this new meta. Having more dropping your ults and getting Murden and dropping like 3 spirit balls. Not really 3, but having a lot of spirit balls and silences. That's always pretty good. I think you could go like a type of like a build like you can go Gem or maybe Chronos Murden. You can go Chronos Murden or you can go Warlock Murden. You can go some weird options with her. She always has a pretty open build. Izanami, I hate this character. I think it's trash. I think any other hunter just does what she does but better. The only thing she does better than other people is shredding towers. Janus got hit hard. His ult got hit, so that's really tough. He's definitely dropped pretty low. Jing Wei, the safe hunter, or the hunter. She's just safe. She does damage. She crits. It is what it is. Jorm got buffed, movement speed and damage, so he's gonna be in a better spot. Kali's gonna be really strong. Kali's back in the meta. I'm just gonna say it right now. Kali's back in the meta. Cherry was the only one playing it for some reason, but she's back in the meta. Remember I said this. Because a lot of people are going to be like, dude, what do you mean, dude? Kali sucks. It's like, she's definitely super, super strong. She's going to be ridiculous. They fixed all her mana problems. She doesn't say stone cutting is cheap, effective damage. You get to kin size. You get to kin size hasten super fast. You don't even have to go stone cutting. You could just go hasten kin size, and you're already online at like 11 minutes. King Arthur's King Arthur. I mean, they nerfed him, but they nerfed his base damage. Still stupid. Capri. I feel like Capri's gonna be pretty good in this new meta. There's no boots. He does get blown up early. I think he's gonna have the same problem as Geb. But he stacks. I think Thebes is gonna be the new meta, right? Because you have to stack because there's nothing better to do. So you go Thebes 2 as your starting build, or you go Thebes 1 Watchers or Benevolence, and then he's really good at getting Thebes stack. And even though that's kind of really specific on why he'd be A tier, it actually benefits him a ton. You drop your 2 on the wave and you dip, and you can rotate around, and you would get full stacks so way faster than any other support. Every other support has to sit near the melees to grab all stacks. Cuckoo, yeah, I would say Cuckoo. You go book a Thoth here, and it feels amazing. You go book 2 right away off the bat. You could think about what starter you'd really like. You finish your book of Thoth, and you get a ton of damage. I could see him being really back in the meta again. Obviously, you have to build your comp around him, right? You're going to need the Athena, the Najahs, the Cabrakan, the Gebs, the Fenrir. But, you know, we'll see. Kumba, 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 kumba. Until they fix that character's 1, he's going to be garbage. But he low-key, like, on paper, you feel like he's not... He's actually pretty decent, but... It just never, on paper is never, you know, MOBAs. MOBAs will never be on paper type of game. And so, I mean, it's just unfortunate for this character. I feel like he has potential, but his 1 is really bad. His 2 can be interrupted. His 3 is his best ability. And his ult is okay. It's good ult. I wish it went a little bit longer, like a little bit farther. I think that would help him a lot because now he has double escape and with actually an actual CC immunity escape. Kuzin in this meta... I think he's not going to be the strongest. I think he's just going to be a very average, right? I feel like B is like average. You're an average character. You're under average. You're a strong character. It's a really, really good character. Loki's like an A tier. Actually, he got hit in a lot of different ways. Transcendence is out. I mean, you can still go trans, but I would say A tier. Even though trans, you could say B tier. Trans got reverted, gold price, so it's a really expensive item. You're probably still gonna go at first, but if you do go Transcendence, right, first item, which is not bad. Someone that goes Hydras, when you fight each other or you go for ganks, well, it's interesting, right? Because if you go trans, you have like a 5-minute, like a 4 or 5 minute window where you cannot fight. Well, I mean, you can fight, but it's inefficient if you fight into someone that has Hydras. But if you're able to just not fight for 5 minutes and the other jungler doesn't get any effective ganks off with Hydras, then you're stronger. So it's a timing thing. So we'll see. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see. Dusa. Dusa is average or below average, really. Transcendence got hit. I think she's below. I mean, man, I love her kit, bro. It's such a pretty kit, but the dash is just a dash getting caught by everything. And the hitbox of the dash being the size of the lane. It's just tough. Mercury. Yeah. People were saying Merc's getting nerfed because he gets no boots, but he still gets space movement speed from levels, so levels equals power. Right? So I don't understand that. Stone cutting got buffed. That's ridiculous for him. So stone cutting got buffed for him, right? When you buy stone cutting for Merc, you don't really buy it for... the prots, right? The prots was an extra, but now that they lowered it and made it more of a power item, right? 2350 instead of 2450, and now it's you're still getting the 50 power from it and the movement speed. I think he's gonna be in a good spot. Do you go crit? I think it's gonna go back to kind of like a half kins, half crit meta, and Merc can always open up the window, right? Whether you could just go kins on your hunter and go crit on Merc, and now you really can't stop both. So I think that's going to be good. I think Merc is super strong. I think Merc could be S tier. I think Merc's actually S tier. Build I'd be going is Stone Cutting Rage. You get Rage online at 12 minutes, 13 minutes, maybe even less. You can get Rage at like 10 minutes if you have a good laning phase. If you have a good 10 minutes, you get Rage, then you go DB. You can't buy Spectral in that time. It feels so inefficient to buy Spectral so fast. You're going to want Thebes, you're going to probably want Sov, and then you're going to want Spectral. But yeah, Merlin's he's an A tier mage. He does everything. He brings the shredding objectives, and Smite is just so ridiculous. It's so damn good. It's because Smite hasn't changed, and so literally you burning fire and the other team, like if the other team can't burn fire and you can burn fire, you already have a ridiculous advantage. Same thing goes for securing. Mulan got buffed. She's been getting buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed. How important is it? I mean, I haven't played it, so I can't. But it's been a lot of, like, 3 or 4 patches of buffs. Is she going to be that warrior type jungler that just runs it down? I could see it, bro. I could definitely see it. She's not the greatest soul laner. I don't think she's the greatest soul laner. She's a good support, and I think it could be a good jungler. The only thing is the game's... This is kind of a weird interaction, but it's something to think about. Is that she takes time to stack, correct? So, with games being shorter, because it takes time to stack, that could be a problem for the character. Because you're going to want to... You're like, someone's going to be already way stronger and want to fight, but you still want to level up your 2 and your 1. So that's something that's really interesting to think about. But I'm going to say B tier for now. Neith is in the C tier because Transcendence got hit and she's dead. But yeah. Nemesis. Stone Cutting Erendite. Stone Cutting Erendite. Stone Cutting. You're going Stone Cutting first item on this character. You could go Crusher, but that feels kind of bad. You're going to want to replace that Crusher late. And by like 25 minutes, you're going to want to replace that Crusher. It is a good early spike. You have to fight, though. And what are you going to fight for in Smite? Like, the game is being accelerated, but it's not going to be accelerated. Like, items are going to be accelerated, but objectives are not. It's kind of confusing. I would say B. And her shield got nerfed recently. My girl, my boy, now Zhao. I mean, if you hit your sashes and your ult, she's ridiculous. If you don't, I mean, it is what it is. Nike double Sunder, Omega lol. Do I just put her here? Even though that character is ADZ, but against a real team with having 2 charges of Sunder, I mean, but at least it's not 100% shield now, and then it's 50% of the shield. But the only reason you're building it is for Nike, unless you want a 50% Geb shield. All right, Nox. No, I'm just kidding. She got buffed on her 1, so you don't have to 2 to the wave. I think you can start 1ing the wave and 1-tapping the wave. I mean, they gave damage to the 1, right? But it's not like you ever won the wave, right? You just pop your 2 on it, then you look to run with your 1. And look to like get beats. It's not like you won, then you hold your 2, because then it doesn't matter if you have your 2 because you don't have your 1. You feel me? So that the buff to the, I mean, now you have a 1 for the camp, right? If you use it on the camp, but I still don't think it's gonna be enough damage. You're still gonna have to auto forever. So twoing the mid and then mid camps is still probably more efficient. So the buff means nothing. That's what I'm trying to say. So C tier. I think she's like below average or average. We'll just leave her average. Nuwa. Nuwa's going to be really good, actually, in this new meta. Getting items faster on this stupid character with her ult. That's easy game for her. She just wants to get a mid-late game. Odin. Odin got buffed on all his CDs. On like 3 of his CDs. He's still a counter pick, though. If you can get out of the cage... It's kind of useless. Oleron got buffed. I have to see it. I have to see it before I believe it. Well, the CD on his ult was the like big problem. It got buffed, but it was only the early game CDs, and now you get 40% CCR in the ult. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Like you're super fast, and if you do get stunned, it's for almost half duration. And the CD is not that bad early game. But it still scales to the same time. So let's see. I think he's gonna. I think he'll be strong. I think someone's gonna bring it out and it's gonna look good. I have faith. Osiris stone cutting, running at people. His boot spike was so good. His boot spike was so damn strong. Taking that away from him feels kind of bad. But now stone cutting. But stone cutting got buffed. But not towards his angle, right? He bought stone cutting because you get the extra 30 physical procs on top of the 50 power. Now it's more geared towards the 50 power and a little bit cheaper. So I mean, it still helps them, but Osiris is more of an early mid game jungler, and with items just spiking faster, right? Items you're just getting to the late game faster right now. I don't think Osiris is the greatest. I think he actually got bumped down from all the changes. Pele. Let me think of the items right now. A Soul Eater, Crusher build. It's probably good to do on her. She's okay. Purse. I think Purse has been kind of dead. She's like below. I mean, her ults are all, but I haven't played her enough. I don't really know where she's at. I don't know. I don't know where she's at. I have no clue. So I'm not gonna put her somewhere. Just gonna put her average. I don't know why they hit Poseidon. Like, I'm just so sad. This character's so much fun to watch, so fun to play, but they kind of just nerfed him. I mean, I don't know why they nerfed his movement speed on his 2, and his I mean on his tidal wave. He's okay. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say he's. I'm trying to think of everything that's changed. Like, none of the items feel good for him. He's just a Kraken bot. Kraken for ages. He's okay. Like, nothing benefits him from what has changed. Actually, mid Poseidon actually probably pretty good now, because you get more XP than other people, because mid and solo get the most XP right now. Well, they should, unless the jungler is like inting, griefing the mid laner, taking every wave. So with that being said, it means you can use the movement speed again for rotations early, which when Paz wants to rotate. That's actually thinking pretty deep into it, but it makes sense. I'm gonna leave him at B tier. Raw. Was Raw used in comp? I feel like Raw is good right now. Raijin got nerfed. He's still fucking toasting. Rama is not trans meta anymore. I think he's gonna come up a bit, and his ult got buffed. Rat got buffed, well, Rat got buffed and nerfed, right? For one, he got nerfed because boots aren't a thing anymore, right? So you would have the spike of movement speed before everyone, but you still kind of do have it, because he has 6% on his acorn, while everyone else doesn't have anything on it. So, and he levels pretty fast, and his rotations are sick. And Rat is really strong, actually. Ravana's Ravana. He's just always gonna be strong. 2 immunities. He's like nothing special, but never bad, you know. Scylla loves getting to late game faster. Serket. Trying to think of all the changes. She's not the best Transcendence character. She likes being more fast-paced items, so that's good for her. I think it depends on the person that's piloting her. So support Serket got hit hard. Oh, I mean, support Serket's been dead for like a year now. Set is still strong, just nowhere near what he was before, but he's still strong. But easily counterable. Scotty, just throw her in the trash. Trans is dead. The character's dead. The dog is dead. The game is dead. I mean, Kappa. Sobek. Sobek is really good. Actually, S tier. Because while everyone needed the I mean, he was broken when he had Greaves, right? When he had Greaves, he was actually unkillable at level 5 or 6. But because nobody else can get Greaves, and he still has his passive, he's inherently tankier than everybody else still. So he's actually still really, really good. Soul got hit on her passive, but she still kind of does what she does, right? Objectives. But she doesn't shoot out the auto during her 2 anymore, right? Wukong got hit a little bit, but Wukong got actually bumped up because King Arthur and Cuchulainn got hit so hard. But Wukong got hit on his too, but it's not nearly as hard as Cuchulainn and King Arthur got hit. Susano was a Transcendence character, but good without it. Susano's always super solid, and he got actually a low-key big buff, which is being able to aim your ult while you die. Because that being like ulting and then dying is actually the worst thing ever. And then you can't aim it, so you got no value out of your ult. That was a big buff for him. Sylvanas got hit so hard, bro. Like so hard. They keep buffing things about him that don't matter. Like scaling on his one. And then him not having guard boots, he's so easy to kill without having guard boots. Like it's gonna like until he gets Thieves stacked, which is like probably into like 8 or 9 minutes, he just dies over and over and over. Any support that can initiate will just kill him. Even though I love Sylvanas, you guys know I'm a Sylvanas main. But yeah, that's why I can't put him any higher. Terra got a buff that it's not as important as Susano's, that she can clap her too when she dies, but it's something, and she's usually pretty damn good. Thanatos is Thanatos, strong with the execute, but Transcendence doesn't matter for him. It never really went it. Stone cutting, you don't really go stone cutting. The Hydro Crusher builds don't really do anything. They didn't change anything. Morgan is Morgan. Morgan getting to late game faster is always a good thing. Thor got a buff, but I don't think it was enough to put him over the top. Plus games getting to late game faster. Thor is probably one of the weaker late game junglers right now. His double tap doesn't do enough to actually scare people. Neither does his dunk spin. He's a good early mid game jungler, but falls off compared to, like, in my opinion, to like the Susanos and the, I don't know. It feels weird seeing Pele here and then Thor here. I'm going to do this. I think it makes more sense. One of the big buffs for Thor, though, was actually him being able to, that his aura is way more units. Because you never really had your aura like on, unless you were like group fighting like season 7 or 6 in the first 2 minutes. Thoth got a buff on his one, but still has the same problem that if you go on him, like if he's untouched, he kills everyone. But he could easily just be initiating on Thoth is so easy. Suki's still Suki. Did get nerfed a bit, but he's still really strong. Tyr didn't get hit, and King Arthur got hit, and Cuchulainn got hit hard. Is the boy Tyr back as a dominant number 1 spot in solo? Uller Trans got hit. Damn, my boy Uller got hit. Pretty tough. You can still go other builds, but we all know Transcendence Uller is the shit. Vamana. Let's think about everything that's happening. I mean, having the base movement speed. I always beat Tyr as Guan. Yeah, that's because you have a counter matchup there, and you shouldn't really beat him. He should just clear the wave. I don't think you should be killing him. If you're killing, all you have to do is just let him push the wave, and then you just bring the wave to the archers, double cleave, and then you're fine. And then you're full health again because of his 2. But yeah, Guan does have a good matchup versus Tyr. Vamana's whatever. Just the movement speed, stone cutting. I'm trying to think of some of the changes. I don't really know where this guy. Vamana, yeah, it's just Ankh, right? Like, it's like one of the best late game warriors, but then it's not one of the best late game warriors because you're taking ridiculous amount of damage with Ankh. Ankh and double Sunder charges. Oh my god, lol. Vulcan's not the greatest. He's so much fun though. X-Ball. No Transcendence means you have to actually Cal is gonna be pretty good for him because you're getting that MP5, and Because I think the mana problem on his 1-2, like you can't spam your abilities on that character, feels pretty bad. But Cal getting some sweet MP5, I think he'll be okay. He just won't be used that much. I don't know why people don't use him. I like X-Ball. Jing 10's broken. I hate Jing 10. Jamoja got hit, but I need to see. It wasn't like anything ridiculous. I think she's still gonna be stupid. I think until you figure out something with that 3, and you getting late game Jamoja is ridiculous. You bring so much more value than, like, unless you get like a Geb 5-man blink ult, Jamoja 2ing her team is just so much more value than anything you're gonna do. And that kind of sucks, right? Because what are the odds of you getting that type of ult? Emir is here. Guardian Boots made him amazing. No Guardian Boots feels weird. You're probably going to go Thebes, but he's a little bit... Now he can't fight as often because you have to wait for Thebes. But his wall is amazing. 8 tiers fair. Zeus... I'm gonna have to actually scroll down here. Zeus, who the fuck knows where Zeus is gonna be? Nobody even plays this character. Jean Kui. No boots. What are you gonna go? You can go Warlocks, bro. You can go Warlocks on Zeus. I mean, I'm sorry, on Zhang. It's not gonna be bad. Bro, there's some item builds you can do on Zhang that might be pretty good. Vamp Shroud changes as well. Yeah, Zhang might be in a good spot here. All right, so the last characters are Danza, Morgan, Tiamat, and Gilga. So we'll do Danza first. Danza's gonna be, I think, a B tier or A tier ADC. Sorry. I think Tiamat is still very strong. I think Tiamat's still an A tier to S tier mid. No doubt. I'll try to draw in the little figures for you guys. And Gilga is going to be between A or B tier. I don't think he's going to be S tier as he was before. He has been hit like 3 or 4 patches in a row. He still has really strong like boxing potential. But maybe A tier. I think Gilga will be A tier. He just won't be S. I don't think he'll be the best. I think he kind of loses that boot spike. That early mid. I think early mid is the strongest, and he kind of loses that a little bit. And then Morgan Le Fay is gonna be in a weird spot. I don't know how many more changes she's gonna get before the patch releases, but we'll see. Morgan Le Fay, I mean, she's good right now. She's okay. I've played against her. She looks sometimes, but you know, it's hard to tell when I'm not playing against, like, I'm not playing ranked against her. You know, I'm not playing against the better players. She just kind of looks like she's just there. Her fear is kind of annoying. I think the hitbox is a little bit too big sometimes, but the rest of her abilities seem kind of underwhelming for me. Her 3 seems a little underwhelming to me. Her 2 seems kind of easy to juke. But we'll see. Hope you guys enjoy the tier list. Thank you for watching.